Good afternoon and welcome everybody to another edition of the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada Behind the Bench webinar. Today, it's going to be myself and Tony LaFerrara, and we're going to be discussing, it's a really interesting topic for me, I know for Tony as well, and hopefully for all of you. We're going to be discussing grassroots technical development and, of course, the physical literacy component of that. This is I should mention, is part one of a two-part series. In part one, we're going to speak about sort of the introductory level of grassroots, which is the ages 7 to 10. And then later on this month in part two, we're going to get into under 11 to under 13, sort of maybe the intermediate side of the grassroots development stage. So just before we get started, I'll like to remind everyone who's watching and listening from home, if you have any questions, please feel free. We want to make this as interactive as possible. You can type your questions in the chat box, or you can use the specific Q&A box. Please, as I said, feel free. Don't be shy. We want to make it as interactive as possible, and we will do our best, no matter how many questions, to get to all of them within the next hour. So with that out of the way, maybe Tony,
yes,
you're the technical director of the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. You've been coaching for a long time at many different levels, and I know you've got a lot of experience at the grassroots level as well, including from your work as being a TD with us and with many other clubs developing curriculum.
Yeah, but you know what, Richard, I'm learning every day. I'm still learning. I watch you and I watch the rest of the presenters on Behind the Bench, and I'm learning every day. So it's never over.
Right on. So
and I'm enjoying it.
All right. Well, on that note, let's hope we learn some more. But let's get started. I want you to talk just a little bit in general about this topic and sort of the development of a curriculum, of a training plan, of a training model for this age group of 7 to 10 years of age.
Yeah, but before we get into that, Richard, today is Cinco de Mayo, right? And so in honor of all our Spanish-speaking friends, I'm going to do the seminar in Spanish, if it's okay.
Of course.
I mean,
pero yo no hablo español muy bien.
Muy bien. I know you speak Spanish.
No.
I know you spend some time, in South America coaching.
Yeah, if my friend Rafael Carvajal is listening, he'll be laughing out loud for this one. But yeah, that's all I know how to say.
Yeah. So Richard, I mean, you said it well. It's a very important age group. From I would go even further down to 5. 6, 7, 8, all the way to 12. It's a very, very important age group. I mean, we know that, right? And to me, the success of a club, or whether or not a club is doing the right thing or not, to me, it's reflected into how they manage and how they work with the grassroots players. Like you said, I've been into a few clubs, but the one where we had the most success was in Pickering. I had a couple of really amazing coaches over there. No offense to anyone listening or watching, but Alfonso Garcia and Nixon Bernardino, they were absolutely amazing. So, we would go down all the way to the, U5. We had a program from U5 to U7. And then from there, we would, start molding them, if you will, introducing them to soccer. And then from there, we built, strong programs at U8, U9, U10, U11, and so on, right? So again, to me, whether or not the club is doing things right, it reflects on whether or not they're doing it right at the grassroots level. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I agree. I think, that's a foundation, more or less, for the future development of a player. And I would almost use the analogy of school, and those age groups, you went as young as 5, so that's almost the age when young children start school. And you can imagine that if they don't have a good foundational education, in kindergarten, and grade 1, grade 2, they're going to struggle later on, and you know, I'm going to speak a little later about, you know, specifically the physical side of things and the foundation of physical literacy that you need. But yeah, I do agree it's very important, and I guess, you know, my own experience has been that sometimes, and it's interesting you mentioned, you know, these coaches that you had in Pickering. Sometimes coaches, even the real good coaches, you know, they don't always want to work at that level.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not comfortable, but also maybe they, you know, they see it as, you know, well, you know, if I'm a more experienced coach, whatever, I'd rather work with older players, and I understand that, and sometimes I feel that way too. But I think then, you know, maybe we get into the maybe it's a bad habit of just sort of ignoring the grassroots level and maybe not having our best. Like, I really think that, you know, if we want to do our best to develop players, then, and we understand that that's such a foundational age, it'd be really good to have top coaches in all clubs across Ontario and Canada.
And also to understand, Richard, you know, and we'll start with this, and also to understand, you know, the mental and physical characteristics at each age level, at each, you know, for each group, boys and girls, you know, and you'll know more about that than I do, but, you know, U8, under-8 boy is, you know, the mental and physical characteristics are different than a U8 girl, a U9 girl, and so on, right? So there is also those things to take into account. But in general, you know, today we'll talk about this in general. So when you're working with these kids, you know, you need to understand and know what are the mental and physical characteristics of players at the various development stages, right? What type of practices are best suited for the specific age group, right? How long, you know, should you run a session? An hour, 45 minutes, half an hour? You know, I've seen coaches go with U7, U8s, go for an hour and a half. You know, too long, right? So, you know, understanding those things, right? How do I plan and design my sessions? Those are very, very important, right? You know, I know that coaches, especially at the young age, some coaches, especially at the young age, you know, they want to impress everybody. They want to impress the players, of course. They want to impress all the parents that, you know, they know so much, you know, and that every week, you know, they come up with a, you know, with a different skill session. You know, one day they do dribbling, you know, and then shooting, and then, you know, some of them will even do crossing and heading, you know, because they want to show that they know too much, right? They know a lot. And with the little guys, less is a lot more, right? Less is a lot more. I know, for example, you know, we had a coach in Pickering who, at the age of 8, he managed to cut. He actually cut. There's noise in the background, Richard. Can you hear it? Or
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So at the age of 8, he actually cut kids at the age of 8 because he didn't think they were good enough. So these are the kind of, you know, coaches that you get. But you know, with this age group, it's always better to do less, right, and to do it well than to try to do too much. So we'll look at, you know, we'll look at the U7, U8s. You know, we'll start with that, and I call that, you know, the discovery phase. Now there's many different other you know, names that you can call it. For me, it's the discovery phase. It's an easy one. So if we can look at the U8, Richard, if you want to put it up, just so that, you know, the people can, the coaches can tag along a little bit, right? So
can you see it now, Tony?
Yes, well, I have it on my screen anyway, Richard, so I'm good.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
all
I
right.
see. So everybody can see that.
Yeah. Here we go.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. So let me go back to my screen. I'm more familiar with that. Actually, I can see it better. Okay, here it is. Yeah, here it is. So when we look at the U8s, U9, U7, U8s, U9, U10, you know, we're looking at you know, a player-centered approach, right? Where everything, it's about the player, right? Everything is about the player, right? You know, what do we do at this age group? Well, the thing is, you know, all of these young players from the age of 5 to 8, especially this age, right? they just love to play. They just want to play.
Thank you for watching this short preview video from the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. To see the full video, plus have access to hundreds of other coaching videos, blogs, webinars, and podcasts, plus free and discounted coach education courses and other soccer merchandise, plus to have exclusive access to register for all future NSCAC conventions, both live and online, click on the link below to become a member of the NSCAC today. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your continued support allows us to continue to provide coach education and coach development resources to soccer coaches across Canada and worldwide. Thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you at future NSCAC events.